Hello, and thanks for joining me on this episode of Simply Saturday, where I get to show you a card that is fast and easy to make. My name is Julie, and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to make a really cute birthday card, and some of the products that we'll be using for this card include the beautiful balloons stamp set and dies, and also the bright and beautiful 6x6 designer series paper. So as I have been doing recently, I will be sure and put all of the dimensions to all these parts and pieces on my website, stampwithjuliebaum.com. And so in the description box below this video, there's a link there. You can just click, go to the article, and you'll find a full list of everything you need to create this project. So I'm starting with a piece of, I always want to call this bubble gum. Everybody does. Everybody wants to call this bubble gum. It's bubble bath. I'm starting with a piece of bubble bath cardstock. Then I do have a piece of white cardstock for an inside panel. And then I have another piece of bubble bath. This is the piece we're actually going to be doing all of our creating on. All right. Now, let me show you the strips of paper. So from Bright and Beautiful, I chose a couple of patterns that work well together. And I cut 1-inch strips, and these are by 6 inches long. But we're going to actually be trimming them down. So I have 6 of these strips. 2 of each of the patterns. So you can see that. All right, we're going to use those first. Then I also have another small piece of bubble bath, a piece of white cardstock, and then I went ahead and die cut a variety of little balloons here. We're only going to use 2 or 3, but I'm not sure which colors we'll choose to use. So these are die cut with the coordinating dies. All right, so to begin, we're going to be gluing our strips of paper onto this piece. Now, this technique is something we've done a time or two before, but this one's a little bit different. So we're going to be gluing our strips on the diagonal onto this piece. And what I recommend is that you lay out your strips and just do a dry fit before you actually start gluing. If you start gluing at one end and just work your way up, you would probably be fine. But in order to kind of make it look even, I like to just do a dry fit and figure out where my strips are going to fit. So this is going to be the first one. And see, what you want to make sure that you do is you want to cover the very corner of that cardstock. So this is going to have to come down to cover it like so. And I'm going to have a lot of paper left over, so I'm actually going to go ahead and trim this one because this would make a whole nother card. So I'm going to save this piece. All right, this is going to be the first piece that goes here, and then I'll go stars, stripes, little dashes, and then we will repeat with the stars and stripes. And look, that piece that we were able to trim off is going to be the top corner like so. So you can see how a dry fit is beneficial, just so you can kind of see where you're headed. Now, once I have that in place, I'm going to actually start with gluing the center one on first. So I'll move these out of the way, bring in my liquid glue. Now, as you can see, I'm going to have 2 ends here that aren't glued down to anything, so I don't actually need the glue to go all the way to the edges on those 2 ends. I can come in a little ways like so. You can also work this project on a silicone mat so that you don't have any sticky residue on your surface. Since I didn't put that under to begin with, I'm going to go ahead and get this one on in place, and then I'm going to stick my mat under there. But I've already determined where this goes, so I don't want to go moving anything else around till I get that first one in place. All right, now we know those are going to be above, these are going to be below, and I'm going to bring in that silicone mat. It just helps keep your surface from getting sticky from the glue. Okay, and now quickly we're just going to add our strips. So what's making this a quick and easy card is the size of the strips. Using 1-inch strips covers a lot of this cardstock real estate all in one simple step of gluing our strips on. And it was very fast to prepare by cutting 1-inch strips. You're not dealing with, you know, 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch strips, which can take more time and precision. So these 1-inch strips, I'm going to need to move this one. Let's see if I have time. I'm going to try to slide it down. See where it's not quite covering that corner? Okay, it was too dry. Even though I'm using the liquid glue, it's too dry to move very much. So we're going to leave that in place. All right, this one is next. See, I got to talking about the size of the strips, and I didn't notice that that did not cover the corner. So we're going to deal with that later. All right, there's that one. Now our shorty strip. It's going to go here, and that one does cover this corner, which is important. All right, moving to the top part of the card. Okay, and as I'm laying each strip down, I'm pushing it right up against the other strips so that there's no gap in between. But I mention that because I am using a piece of the pink cardstock so that when this goes on the card base, in case there were any little gaps that are peeking through, you will not notice because the card base itself is the same color. So that's why I encourage you to glue your strips onto whatever color card base you're using. Use that same piece for this. If this, for instance, was white and then we put it on the pink cardstock base, if there was any little gaps in here, you would see the white gaps. So I'm trying to save you from that potential mistake, and that could be frustrating. All right, we've got one more. And there's our 6 strips all glued onto that cardstock panel. Okay, then we're going to flip this over, peeling it off of my silicone sheet. See all that extra glue that got on there? That's going to dry and just rub off, and it left me with a clean work surface here. All right, so I am going to use some larger scissors. You could definitely use your paper snips, but to do these big cuts, I really like to use a bigger pair of scissors. So I'm turning this over, and now just right along the edge of my bubble bath cardstock, I'm trimming all these pieces off. Now, these are all sticky, and they are going to make a sticky mess of my scissors. So you'll see that we have a quick way of cleaning those off when we're done. There's really not a good way to avoid it. It's just part of what happens with this card design. Okay, we're on our 4th and final edge. Like so. All right. Now, let me get all of these little pieces moved out of the way since they're all sticky. And I'll show you how I'm going to clean my scissors. I won't take the time to do it now, but I will talk you through it. I'm going to use one of these little alcohol prep pads. Peel that open, and this works great cleaning the blades of your scissors. Do take care that you don't cut yourself. These scissors are super sharp, and if you're using your paper snips, same. But that's going to be a fast and easy way to clean the blades of my scissors. All right, at this point, we can attach this to our card base. And then all we need to do is add a sentiment and some decorations. All right, now We're using that bright and beautiful paper and the beautiful balloons, stamps and dies, but you could make the same card design with lots of different looks. Change up your papers and your stamped images. All right, there we go. There's the card front. Okay, let's go to our sentiment. So I'm going to take this piece and stamp the words on here. I'm using the stamp that says, I think it's time for a celebration. And I'm going to go ahead and choose Berry Burst. I selected that color because it's one of the colors that's in my designer series paper. And I'm just going to stamp it in the one color. But at the end of this tutorial, I will show you an option that if you do have a little bit of time and you're not necessarily going for a super fast card, you could definitely do this other option, and it's very nice. All right, so here I have my stamped words on my white piece. This is going to get backed with a piece of Bubble Bath cardstock. And I'm going to leave a little border all the way around the edges of that white piece. So you've got that pink border. Okay, this is going to go now on the card front. And if you want to use your liquid glue, you can definitely do that. Because the thickness, oh, that needs a little tack of glue. That's twice I've had to do that. There we go. Because of the thickness of what's going on here, I've got the paper, I have an extra layer of cardstock. I'm just going to go ahead and use Terran tape to attach this. So just a couple of short pieces of Terran tape. All right, so I'm going to do one on each end and one in the middle. Like so. All right, the placement of this is up to you. You could certainly do it right in the center, which would be a great choice. You could do it up high. It just depends on what you're kind of imagining and where you're going to put your decorations. So for my card design, I'm going a little bit lower than center, and I'm going to make sure that the edge of this piece covers all that designer series paper, as does the other side. Like so. All right, and we just need a couple little things. Let's choose 3 balloons. I have a variety of colors here. So I think we'll use a blueberry bushel and a bubble bath balloon, and then either lemon lime twist, or let's bring berry burst back in. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so these can get attached with a little dab of your liquid glue. These were quick because they weren't stamped. They were simply die cut out of scraps. So I'm going to put those 2 down, and then for the last one, I'm going to use a dimensional. To pop this one up. All right, like so. And then I think it just needs, see, this could go here or up here. I'm going to put it up here. I like being able to see the bottom of the balloons. If I put it down here, it's going to cover that one. So let's just go here. See, you can just decide as you're creating. All right, and then I need a little bit of twine or ribbon or something right here. So I happened to already have a little blueberry bushel bow. This was made for a different card that I was working on, and then I chose to use a different trim instead. So this one's just been sitting here, and look, it came into use just in time. So I'm just going to grab a glue dot and let's attach that, and then I'll show you two other similar cards with some of these same products. All right, here's my blueberry bushel bow, like so. I think that with the pink on the inside, it would be fine to write on this, but if you want to add that panel, we can definitely do that. And in that case, I would probably do a little bit of stamping. Let's just take that balloon. It's the same as the die cut. And what I'm gonna do is stamp my ink off so I get a lighter version of Berry Burst. I'll do two of those. And then let's add a blueberry bushel. See, this part is optional, the stamping on the inside of the card. Any kind of decorating, of course, I would consider optional, but it sure makes it nice. All right, so this is blueberry bushel stamped off. And I'm going to put that one up here. There we go. Another way to quickly dress up the inside of a card is to use another piece of your designer series paper and put a strip down the edge or across the bottom or top. All right, there's the inside of our card. You could also add some stamped words here if you want. And there you have it, our very quick 1-inch strip birthday card. Now, let me show you two others that are very, very similar. Same color scheme, same products. Here is one that I did on Lemon Lime Twist. And on this particular one, I did use the smaller strips, so this was not nearly as fast. This took a lot more time to cut my strips, a lot more time to glue them in place, but the card design, the layout is basically the same. This one has a little twine bow. And then I did another one on Lemon Lime Twist, but with a lot more blueberry bushel, just to give that a different look. And this one does have the 1-inch strips, just like the one that we made a moment ago. And then I'll just talk you through this little aspect, which I think looks really good. So on today's card, I just stamped the words in one color of ink because we were going for fast and easy. But if you have the time, after you stamp it in Berry Burst, then on a scrap, I stamped in a second color. So in this case, I stamped the same stamp with Blueberry Bushel. And in this one, I stamped the stamp on a scrap with bubble bath ink. Then I simply cut out the word celebration and glued it right on top. So you get that two-tone greeting, which I think is really effective, but it does take a little bit more time. So here's your fast and easy, and here are some options if you have a little extra time. Thank you so much for watching my card tutorial today. I really appreciate you tuning in. You'll find all kinds of helpful information in that description box below this video. And if you've not subscribed yet to my channel, I invite you to do that. That way you'll never miss a new video that goes up. Until next time, happy stamping.